Nancy, after Steve Ellman gives his public presentation about the annual budget, I'm going to make a motion to move that resolution up next so they don't have to sit through all that.
Okay.
Those,
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. That would be torture.
yeah.
All right. After.
I saw your wife. She's Friday. Yeah, I didn't walk up and talk to them, but she walked up and talked to me, and then it was. I was outside. I come in for a minute. I was in the middle of doing something, and sort of pouring out rain. So I talked to her for a few minutes, but then I had to go outside to the car. You're at the farm. Are you producing wine?
Police Officer Ronald
No, I
is
know,
here,
but
but
just
police
tell me.
officer
Would you, is it good or just
girlfriend has it at home.
really, like if they
Okay. No, nobody did tell me that. Dave did say, though, that he was going to make a motion to move the resolution. Let's see, so Wilson is not here, right? Okay. Yes, okay. So we were going to do it right after Steve gives his report, so they don't have to stick around. Okay. I hear a baby, but I don't see a baby. Cute. Okay, yeah, okay, thank you.
I thought you were just lying. I don't know. Because the way you paused. No, you paused too long. It doesn't make that long to think of it.
Hello. I'm getting a temporary promotion
Good.
since Elam isn't
You're
here.
going to be great.
You know, it's nothing that's going to kill anybody
Yeah.
if I goof up, so we'll get through it.
Is Dingle dying? Who's Dingle dying? Whose area is it? What's the deal? Why are they upset about it?
Okay, so we're waiting for Cronin. Yeah. Well, Dave was going to make a motion to move it up so they didn't have to stay. So you want to do it Steve says you can do it before him. Okay. Well, that way they can. Okay. All right. No, I was on vacation. I just got back from vacation, and I fell down and hurt my knee. I've been limping around. What have you got there? A letter?
Oh, about the 16-hour shifts that they keep having.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, actually, I was gonna try to talk to somebody about this week. I thought I'd start maybe with Favoris, so he can get the other people together. And so, yeah. No, right after we had that discussion, I went on vacation.
I don't think you can mandate 16-hour shifts. I don't.
No, I don't
I
think
think
so
that's against
either.
labor laws.
Well, not only that, but it's asking for a disaster. Somebody's gonna, get hurt
Yeah,
or something.
and they don't seem, they don't, I think it's okay. It's not okay. I
Well, even if people volunteer for it, I think it's troubling. Let's just say that. Okay. Okay, good evening, everybody. My gavel since I left the judge. Okay, so we're going to start our county council meeting. It's a regular meeting, March 29th. Our chairman, Mr. Elam, is not with us tonight, so I'm stepping in. So if I mess this up, somebody's going to set me right, I hope. So, okay, so first we're going to start with the invocation. And that's going to be by Matt Zimmerman of the Apostolic Christian Church of St. Charles. That'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Joe Brazel.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just want to come to you this evening and just commit this meeting to you. We know that you're all powerful, and even as we think of through this week of this Easter season and just the role of the government and the role of the rulers. And we just pray tonight, Lord, that you would be with those that would lead the meeting and the topics that would be discussed. Just give wisdom, and we pray for your Spirit that it would just work among the men here. And we just thank you for those that are willing to lead this county and make the decisions, and just pray it could be a peaceful evening, and that, Lord, that we know that your name would be glorified in everything. So we thank you, and we thank you for Jesus, and we ask this all in his name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll have the roll call, please.
Councilmember Joe Cronin.
Here.
Councilmember Joe Brazel.
Here.
Councilmember Mike Elam. Councilmember Dave Hammond.
Here.
Councilmember Terry Hollander.
Here.
Councilmember Nancy Schneider.
Here.
Councilmember John White.
Here.
Next item of agenda, I think you have a motion to make, Mr. Hammond.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to move resolution number 21-01, recognition of St. Charles County Police Officer Ronald N. Wilson. Move it up the agenda next.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll take up the resolution at this time. I understand that Officer Ronald and his family are present. Officer Wilson was not able to attend tonight. I'd like to ask the Wilsons to come forward.
And I'll read the resolution.
And Donna's going to read the resolution.
Resolution number 2101, sponsored by council as a whole, a resolution recognizing and congratulating Officer Scott Ronald and Officer Austin Wilson of the St. Charles County Police Department for their bravery and courageous rescue of an elderly couple from their burning home in unincorporated St. Charles County, Missouri on March 16, 2021. Whereas the St. Charles County Council is pleased to recognize and honor employees or departments for outstanding achievements. And whereas the St. Charles County Council is proud of Officer Scott Ronald and Officer Austin Wilson for their bravery and courageous rescue when called to a vehicle fire on Opal Drive in unincorporated St. Charles County. And whereas Officer Ronald responded to the call and found the garage of the home fully engulfed in flames, which were quickly spreading to the main residence. And whereas a witness at the scene reported there were 2 elderly residents inside the home. So Officer Ronald forced entry into the home and located an elderly man and ushered him toward the front door, where he was met by Officer Wilson, who guided the man to safety. And whereas Officer Ronald turned back and went deeper into the home to locate the second resident, a disabled woman who was laying on the bed, and quickly scooped her into his arms and rushed out of the home to safety within minutes of the home becoming fully engulfed in flames. And whereas to Officer Ronald, Officer Wilson, and all of those that responded to this fire, thank you for your dedication to our community, was posted on social media by Cottleville Fire Protection District. And whereas the St. Charles County Council applauds the St. Charles County Police Department and Officer Scott Ronald and Officer Austin Wilson for their life-saving actions to help an elderly couple escape from their burning home. Now therefore be it resolved by the County Council of St. Charles County, Missouri as follows. Section 1, the St. Charles County Council hereby honors and congratulates the St. Charles County Police Department Officer Scott Ronald and Officer Austin Wilson on their outstanding feat of saving the lives of an elderly couple from their burning home on March 16, 2021, in St. Charles County, Missouri.
Thank you.
Before I present this, do you have anything you'd like to say? Or?
I thank you very much. I'm honored to be here, and I'm honored to be recognized for just simply doing what I think was the right thing to do at the time, and what I feel is just my job. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I think it's a very brave thing to run into a burning building, so we thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have anything you'd like to say, Chief?
No, what I would like to say is this is a real deal, and he was close to when the call came out. He beat the fire department there by minutes, and I know I've talked to the fire chief, and he said there's absolutely no way, especially the elderly woman, would have survived the fire because she was unable to get out of bed. She wasn't mobile. So without the actions of Officer Ronald and Officer Wilson, this couple very likely would have perished. In fact, the fire department guaranteed us they would have perished in the fire. So we appreciate them and what they did and going above and beyond in what is the normal course of duty, but they were there in the right place, right time, and took the right action. So congratulations.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks
you
for
very
being here,
much.
Chief.
Thank you
Chief,
very
would
much.
you take Officer Wilson's copy to him? All right, thank you all very much.
Great job.
Thank you.
Oh, we didn't,
I'll read the title and call the roll.
oh, okay, thank you.
A resolution recognizing and congratulating Officer Scott Ronald and Officer Austin Wilson of the St. Charles County Police Department for their bravery and courageous rescue of an elderly couple from their burning home in unincorporated St. Charles County, Missouri on March 16, 2021. Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam? Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
You're more than welcome to stay, or if you'd like to get home and enjoy the rest of the evening with your family, we certainly understand that. Thanks so much for being here, and our gratitude as well, and congratulations. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the annual report for 2020 by County Executive Steve Ellman. Mr. Ellman, good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the council. As you all know, the charter requires that the county executive give an annual report, and I'm doing my duty this evening, and I hope that you find it interesting. I want to thank Colleen McAtee for putting the slideshow together. I think she did a good job. As you can imagine, when we're talking about the last year, we probably need to start off with the pandemic. And you can see here that, and this is something I think many people don't understand, and that is every government handled this pandemic a little bit differently. Okay? I think history will say that some did a very good job. Others will say others didn't. We'll have to wait and see where we end up. But I think I can report some very good results from what we did do. And remember, the first thing we did is when others were trying to determine what jobs were essential and what weren't, we went ahead and left that up to individuals and told them to decide what was essential. We did launch a campaign to educate people on the benefits of wearing a mask, social distancing, but of course we had no mandate. I think one of the most important things that our public health people did was to work with the schools beginning last spring and late this summer to get ready to open in September, and they did that, and I think we can point to some success there. We worked with the bars and the restaurants to keep their patrons safe. The only action we took was to close bars at 11 p.m. for about a 6-week period, and you'll see in a minute why I think that was something that had to be done. Each county, as I said, did it a little bit different. our numbers, in many ways, were for the last year, were much better on hospitalization and death rates. And if you remember last summer, I came in and we talked about that because we were seeing an increase in cases. And what we talked about was what we really needed to look at was the hospitalization and the deaths. This shows you the percent of, in each of the St. Charles, State of Missouri, St. Louis City and County, gives you the percent of the population that were hospitalized, and you can see we have the lowest percentage there. We also have the lowest percent in intensive care. I've got to, credit our hospitals, the ones who did show up there. They did a very good job with them. Because as you can see here, the death rates, and again, these are not, you have the total deaths, but the important thing is the rate. And you can see that our death rate is lower than the state of Missouri and considerably lower than St. Louis County. Obviously, one death is a tragedy, and we hate that anybody died, but I think you can see here that compared to some of the other jurisdictions, we were quite fortunate. The other thing, when people ask me about the last year, the two things I'm proudest of, the first one is our unemployment rate. Okay, by keeping our restaurants and businesses open, you can see we had a considerably lower unemployment rate. People that wanted a job were still able to work. The thing that many people don't appreciate is just sort of how the whole pandemic proceeded. And boy, remember back last year in March and May and July, see how many cases we had? I mean, we were doing really well. And then the summer came and we thought, boy, this is a lot worse. But it leveled off and on into October, and then in November, you can see that things just really, really spiked in terms of the number of cases. And that's when we instituted that restriction on bars and restaurants till 11 o'clock, because we were the only place in the St. Louis region, counting Illinois, St. Louis City, St. Louis County, we were the only place that had people where people could get a drink after 11 o'clock. And if you can see, it was actually on the 22nd of November when it peaked. And that's the 2 days before we made that decision. And I don't think it's necessarily because of what we did, but as you can see, things started to go down after that. 11 days after New Year's Eve, when we didn't see any spike, we went ahead and did away with that restriction. Again, you can kind of see the same story with the hospitalization. And I can tell you there was some, I'm sure many of you, along with me, were getting up every morning and checking those numbers, and we were very concerned because things were certainly getting worse throughout November. Again, once we got in December, they leveled off and then started getting better in St. Charles County. Not everywhere, but in St. Charles County. And again, this is what we did. We went and closed the bars at 11. We encouraged residents to practice the precautions. We distributed masks to shoppers on Thanksgiving weekend, those who wanted one. And of course, as I said, we suspended that order on January the 11th. I would have to say that situation with the bars was the most troubling from my standpoint. Not just because of the optics, and you can see there was a lot of people just ignoring any kind of health concerns, but as you know, there was some increase in criminal activity in some of our cities because of the increased number of people that were coming here to party. But anyway, that's all better now from what I've been told, and I hope that will continue. Again, these are just some of the things that we did to educate rather than coerce. We didn't make anybody wear a mask. We didn't decide which businesses were essential. We let the people make those decisions. At one point in late November, we did a poll, and giving people the choice versus St. Louis County, where there was a mask mandate. We surveyed 500 people on each side of the river. And I'm sure there are people lied on both sides, but I don't think our people lied any more than they did. But what we found out was 91% of the people in St. Louis County said they were wearing a mask, and 87% in St. Charles County. So even without a mandate, we came pretty close to having the same sort of number of people as St. Louis County. And this is the second thing that I'm really proud of, and I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, so I won't dwell on it, but I'm so proud of our schools. And I don't know, does anybody notice in the last 10 days, I think there was a study by Washington University that they did a study and they realized that the children were really not the ones who were spreading this to each other. And again, we've got places in St. Louis County and the city of St. Louis that still haven't opened. And I think kids are falling further behind. Our kids have had the opportunity to be in school, and about 80% of the kids and their parents have chosen to be there. And I think they're going to be rewarded for that in the future. Because I just don't think the kids who stayed home, not all of them, but I think a lot of them have had problems with that. And again, remember back in December, we worked with the schools to go ahead and change the rules a little bit to allow more people, even when they were probables, to go ahead and go back to class. And that worked out pretty well. And of course, we're going to make an effort as we open the vaccination up to more people. We're going to try to get the teachers taken care of. And it's very simple. That will benefit not only them, but their students. And it doesn't do any good to wait until May to vaccinate the teachers, because they're going to be out of school in a couple of weeks. So we're going to try to get as many of them as quickly as possible. And again, I'm just very, very thankful for the effort that the school districts and the teachers have made. Even more thankful for the effort by our employees. They have done a great job of taking care of their own health. They've done a great job of adjusting to the new regiment that we've had to put in place. The health department has just done a tremendous job with the vaccination clinics, the contact tracing, all of that. And Family Arena staff has been tremendous. As you know, a few weeks ago, we were talking about vaccinating 1,500 people a week. Last week, we vaccinated 12,000, and we're hopeful we'll be able to do another 12,000 this week. You know about the building improvements, the drop box, the QLES, the construction. We're very proud of what we were able to do in the jail and with the bridge to the courthouse. As you know, maybe we're ready to get back to some of our other issues with funding for our roads and so forth. And as you remember, I'm still very much concerned that that we have a MoDOT has basically said that maintenance is the most important thing, and that's fine for the 100 or so counties in the state that aren't growing, but for the other 14 that are growing, and especially for us, we need them to meet our needs. Some of the projects. Here's a good example. You can see there what percent of the funds we're getting. The green is the percentage of new jobs. So we've got 11% of the new jobs. St. Louis County has 2.2, and St. Louis City is negative 4.9. And with all those additional jobs, you think we would get a little more in the way of funding. Again, our number one bottleneck location in the St. Louis region is out in Wentzville. We've advanced $1 million for design. We're hopeful that MoDOT will put that on their STIP this spring, but the problem is that before that's done, we're going to have 30,000 more citizens in our county. And that's why I think we need, why it is at least my number one priority. 57 Chevy.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a classic, right? But you don't have too many of them. You don't have too many of them left on the road. And as you know, the I-70 corridor between Fairgrounds and Cave Springs was, we're basically living with a design and a construction that was done in 1957 and hasn't been upgraded since then. As you know, MoDOT is committed to spending money to upgrade that. We think it's something that needs to be done, and we're looking forward to that particular project. You know, originally, the original, that was one of the first interstate sections that was done, and you got the area there where Noah's Ark. And Noah's Ark was a landmark for decades, but for the last decade or so, it was also an eyesore, okay? That area has redeveloped. As you know, the county and the city spent a lot of its own money improving I-70 corridor there, and we're anxious to see MoDOT spend some of their money now on the rest of it. Parks set a new attendance record. And again, it'd be great to get back to normal and talking more about our parks and working on those. The largest pump track, they got the Daniel Boone Hayes home is now finished, the Land House out in New Melly Lakes, and the Veterans Memorial Garden and Veteran Tribute. Very proud of all those. Policing, in the last year, need to salute the police from our department as well as the municipal departments in St. Charles County. They dealt with 9 demonstrations with several large crowds. They had to make several arrests when protesters blocked the interstate, but generally handled the situation very well and kept everybody pretty well in line. Not an easy thing to do these days. And I think the last meeting, we talked a little bit about the task force that Chief Friz put together with the other police chiefs in the county. And the task force made 81 arrests, and I think everything's pretty under control, right, Chief? Once again, great job. That's all I have.
Good job. Thank you for your report, Mr. Ellman. I think we all agree that we're fortunate to live here in St. Charles County and appreciate the leadership that you have shown and all of the efforts that our citizens have made to be safe and to get through these trying times. So next item on the agenda is public presentations. We are, oh, I'm sorry, we're going to do the conditional use permits first. Yeah, I'm sorry. There are 2 conditional use permits that are up for final passage today. Donna, would you please read the bill?
Bill number 4931, an ordinance granting conditional use permit CUP 20-14 for a lawn care service to Robert Matulowick, property owner, and Green Thumb Lawn Care and Landscape LLC, Jason Valley, owner and organizer, applicant.
Is there any discussion on this?
I got
Yes.
a couple comments.
Okay, yeah.
I was just looking through it, and the way I understand it is the lawn care gentleman is purchasing almost an acre behind that, which is a buffer that is not going to be used. He has to, if he does, he has to come before us to rezone it, and that creates some green space there from separation. And the other fact is this property has been for sale for over 2 years, and I had asked the question, well, what would be the expectation of the people that live there if it were to be used for something else? And the fact is no one's, it's not been sold, so it's been for sale for 2 years. So I think with the green space and it's being a lawn care service is somewhat, I would consider that being light duty. I don't think this is I can understand why the people are upset about it or bothered by it, but I think that if they, are they gonna put any trees? Do we know if they're gonna be any kind of buffer? Is that got a tree on there? Okay. I think they said they were putting a buffer in there and try to make some screenings. I think that would look good. So I don't see what other use you would have for this property. It does have commercial around it too, so that's just my opinion.
Thank you. Mr. Cronin, you wanted to make a comment?
Yeah, I drove out there today and I walked the property. And, you know, you got two competing American dreams here. You got the American dreams of the fellow with the lawn care company who wants to build his business. And you got the American dream of the people living in that subdivision and want a nice, quiet neighborhood. But, you know, it is commercial around that area. There's storage lots right across of it. I look at this development that he's doing with the landscape berms, and we have several of these in my district and Mr. Brazel's district, and they've typically been very good neighbors to the people that are in those subdivisions. In fact, there was one of them not too long ago where the fellow had to come back for an additional permit, and all the neighbors from the subdivision next to him came to the meeting and said, he's such a good neighbor, make sure you approve it. So I think the impact to the neighborhood is going to be minimal compared to the other commercial uses I saw out there. The property is kind of run down. It needs to be fixed up. And since there's building lots behind it that have never been developed before, I don't think residential is going to go in there. So, you know, the possible future uses could be something like a Quick Trip or more storage units or something that's less desirable than what this is. So I support this, and I want you to know that I did look at, I read everything about it. I read the letters that you guys had in opposition. I looked it, I walked it, and I really think, you know, with time, this gentleman does a good job like the site plan says he will. I think he'll end up being a good neighbor, and I don't think it'll be a bad fit for the neighborhood, so I do support this.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mr. Cronin. This is in Mr. Elam's district, and he was not able to be here today. And so I think, does anyone else have on the council have any comments? If not, I'll ask you to call the roll, please, on this.
Sure, and just for the record, excuse me, Exhibit C of this bill was received timely and posted. It was not available at the introduction. Bill 4931, an ordinance granting conditional use permit CUP 20-14 for a lawn care service to Robert Matulowick, property owner, and Green Thumb Lawn Care and Landscape LLC, Jason Valley, owner and organizer applicant. Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
No.
Councilmember Elam? Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider?
Yes,
Councilmember White?
Yes.
And Councilmember Cronin.
Yes.
the bill passes. The next item on this agenda would be Bill number 4932, conditional use permit. Exhibit C has been timely received and posted, and the bill is now ready for final passage. Are there any questions or concerns?
Let me read the title first. Bill number 4932, an ordinance granting conditional use permit CUP 20-15 for an outdoor storage yard for automobiles, boats, trucks, trailers, and recreational vehicles to the Gerald A. Keevan Revocable Trust, Glennon J. Keevan Revocable Trust, Carrie L. Keevan Revocable Trust, and Lisa J. Keevan Revocable Trust, property owners.
Okay. Any questions or concerns?
I'm just going to, as I mentioned before, I'm not going to support this because this is 10 acres and it's next to additional maybe 5 acres. I'm not sure how big it is, but it's big. So there'll be 15 plus acres of units storage right on Z and N. I just don't think it's a good use for the property. We always talk about these being transitional zoning because they're putting down gravel and then, as Mr. Keevan said, it could be zoned for something else later. But you know, you got stuff going on there now. They're moving the road. You got a Walgreens there. You got a mobile station. You got a brand new gas station across the street. So it's becoming a nice commercial corner, and putting 15 acres of storage units in at a prime corner is, I don't think, proper zoning. So I'm not supporting it.
Any other concerns or comments? Okay, I'm going to ask Anna to please call the roll.
Bill number 4932, an ordinance granting conditional use permit CUP 20-15 for an outdoor storage yard for automobiles, boats, trucks, trailers, and recreational vehicles to the Gerald A. Keevan Revocable Trust, Glennon J. Keevan Revocable Trust, Carrie L. Keevan Revocable Trust, and Lisa J. Keevan Revocable Trust, property owners. Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam? Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
I know.
And the bill passes. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Just a reminder that if you wish to speak, you need to fill out a comment card. Donna and Claire have those, and we will allow 6 speakers on any one topic, alternating between those for and against. There's a 3-minute time limit, and when the timer goes off, I'm going to ask you to please conclude your comments and be seated. Okay.
Madam
Debbie
Chair,
Ferreira.
I'm sorry, yes, Mr. White.
I think there might be quite a few people speaking about the project on Dingledine. If there is more than 3, can we let maybe at least 6 speak on it?
How many requests
3.
have we had for Dingledine? Just
3 speakers for Dingledine.
Okay, let it
Then
stand.
that should work. Okay, first speaker then.
Debbie Ferreira.
Yes, it will start
Yeah,
when you...
just have a seat right there, and they'll start the timer for you. If you're comfortable to take off the mask, you may do so, or not at your own choice. Okay.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for giving us time to voice opposition to this plan. We just found out today that all of the letters that were sent to Planning and Zoning and County Council after the last Planning and Zoning meeting were not included as part of the record today, including the petition we submitted, which now has 337 signatures in opposition. We request that they be included on record today and that a tally also become part of the public record. Lakeview Farm on Towers Road is being developed into 195 single-family homes. This is slated to start soon. Thank you for giving us time to voice. Okay, that's not going to work. So, Lakeview Farms on Towers Road is being developed into 195 single-family homes. This is slated to start soon. This will also impact our area and greatly increase our concerns over traffic on Dingledine Road, congestion and safety. The CUP for Lakeview Farms was voted down by Planning and Zoning Committee on March the 17th after the neighbors stated some of the exact concerns that we have been stating with Crater Farms. Yet the Crater Farm concerns that we have been yet that plan was not approved. During that meeting, they brought up lot sizes, side yards, traffic and safety on Towers and Horseshoe. The developers stated they would be happy to do a traffic study, yet we have requested a traffic study and no one has not been added to the plan for Crater Farms. Traffic. Concern over intersections at Emerald Woods and Dingledine, limited sightline, and adding additional outlet from Crater Farms opposite Emerald Woods. Old Highway 94 and Dingledine congestion. Crater Farm subdivision exit at Emerald Woods would likely cause more cars to use Stonecraft as a pass-through to avoid traffic at Dingledine and Old Highway 94. Stonecraft already has concerns with speeding traffic and traffic not yielding at stop signs, and 119 new homes at Crater Farms will only make this worse, requesting a traffic study be mandated. Pine Bluff and Stafford Place Court have voiced concerns over grading of their land and runoff from the creek that may cause flooding or water backup on the land, which they currently experience some issues with after previous regradings. Please keep the R1B zoning per the 2030 master plan, minimum 20,000 square foot lots. We understand change will happen. We have no issue with the R1B zoning. We understand it cannot remain undeveloped farmland forever. The rules of planning and zoning should be the same for all. Builders should not be able to pick and choose which rules they will play by. If voted down by planning and zoning for the Lakeview Farms Towers Road development, reference March 17th CUP for exception of side yards, this should not be allowed here. Mandate traffic study for Dingledine, especially at Emerald Woods. Even the Leffler family in their presentation to planning and zoning stated that the intersection was very dangerous and felt unsafe going into the yard to get their mail. Concerned with overcrowding at schools, as voiced by a teacher from Castilia's in that Lakeview Farms presentation, recent layoffs in the news, and then
Your time
loss
is
of
up.
trees, green space, and relocation of wildlife.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Appreciate
And with
it.
respect to the items, those cannot be just sent in and submitted. They have to actually be offered at the time. So that's why,
Oh,
well, the petitions and the other letters and things, you know, you sent those out, but they were not formally received into evidence. So,
so how would that have happened, I guess?
Donna,
Presented during the council meeting.
Yeah.
During the actual open meeting. They all received the information.
Okay.
yeah, we received it and read it, but it's not formally in the record.
Okay. So we should have all come here today and said it, you're saying, or? Because there was no speaking the last time you had one for us.
I'm not sure what the procedure is on that. They bring them in and they offer them during a meeting to be received as part of the record.
Right, during your 3-minute, you know, if you have
Do you have
something that you
anything
want
with you
for the
right
record.
now that you want to be received into the record?
I mean, I emailed all the information that, and we did it last week because I was under the impression from one of the things I'd read, it had to be done by 5 o'clock by Friday, the day before, to be received in record.
But excuse me, Madam Chair.
thank you.
It's
I
my
understand
understanding, though, that you did receive all of the documents,
absolutely
and they
did
were
receive them
considered.
all.
This is
Yes.
just a formality, whether or not it was actually included as part of the record.
So is that sufficient?
It's my understanding that, yes, it
Okay,
is.
all right, sorry then if I misspoke. Okay, but we did all receive them, and I know we took them very seriously, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Drew Weber.
Mr. Weber.
Good evening. My name's Drew Weber with Hamilton Weber. I'm here on behalf of Rouse Company for the Crater Farms development on Dingledine. I know we've been before you several times now to talk about this project, and so I don't have new information, but I want to reiterate a few things that we've talked about and that some of the residents have talked about as well. You know, the zoning, the question of whether this should stay R1B zoning, that would be totally unique to every single property that touches this property. Every single property that touches this is R1E or R3B, except one that's catty corners R1D. So R1B, keeping it as is, would be totally different than all the other surrounding properties. And because they're R3B and R1E, the adjacent properties, that's exactly what we've proposed here. I understand the questions about the traffic study, but I don't know if people understand what a traffic study does, right? A traffic study, you're not going to do it in the subdivision, right? I mean, we have stop signs, and there will be things to control traffic in the subdivision. If a traffic study is done, that would be done on Towers Road to determine if the county wants to make improvements to Towers Road to handle additional traffic. But then that's outside the development. So there isn't any traffic study done in the development that sheds any light unless they want to know how many cars there will be at internal stop signs, but that doesn't impact the surrounding subdivisions. So the question of a traffic study isn't really appropriate, I guess, to this development. The last thing is, I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have. I mean, I think we've shown that this subdivision is similar to the surrounding subdivisions with the lone exception of the one to the east in Emerald Woods. We do think we've shown that it'll fit, it won't be a negative impact on the community, and we ask that you approve tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thomas Whitty.
Good evening.
Good evening. I live in Emerald Woods. Traffic studies, let me give you the idea of the real world out there. You don't need to go to Indianapolis. You go to the Dingledine 500. That's the real world going on out there. So as far as the zoning goes, hundreds of us, I mean, everybody in the area wants the zoning to remain the same. And the key here is why stay average? You know, why not lift the bar? You know, become somebody. Everybody wants to be bigger, better, faster, stronger. Why not improve the property to make bigger houses on bigger lots available? The new breed coming up is not going back to the office. They're going to work out of their houses. They want bigger houses. They want home gyms, home offices, and they're going to be with their kids all day. They want room. In today's world, you can sell a big house on a big lot, and there doesn't seem to be any problem selling houses, no matter what they are. You can nail two 2x4s and back it up to a cesspool and sell it. The market's that good. So we don't understand why you can't take a 20,000 square foot lot, build a unique house on it. And realtors and people coming to this area don't have to look at the average, Go over here and look, and you'll see the same thing over here is the same. Why not go over here and see something unique and special that elevates our area? Just make it nicer, make it a little more, maybe some exclusivity here, that people may want to move here. And there's not that many parcels of ground left to do this on. I mean, it's rapidly going away. So here's one opportunity on Dingledine to do something that's out of the ordinary. And just be something special that people will take notice of and improve the overall facade, of St. Peter's and that Harvester area. So with all of us, we don't want it. We want it to stay the same, and we don't understand why. Rawls, quality home builder, no question there. They do a nice job. But how can an outside home builder from St. Louis County come into our area and change the whole deal when the vast majority of us don't want it? And it could still be a viable area with those larger lots. Go out there and try and buy a house somewhere and just, you know what they cost now, new houses. But people are willing to pay, even with the pandemic. Incomes are up. And again, people are saving more money by working out of their houses. They've got money to spend for bigger houses.
Thank you,
It's
sir.
going to just overall, that's
Time
it?
is up, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Next speaker.
Regarding CUP 2103 for our future meeting, we have 3 speakers. Mark Detmer.
Hi.
Good evening.
My name is Mark Detmer. I live on Placid Drive. I'm here to oppose to CUP 2103. It's a sober living house on Placid Drive. I wanted to get in front of you guys and kind of paint a picture of what Placid Drive is, and I think the gentleman that just spoke kind of helped me a little bit too. So Placid Drive is a private street. I wouldn't even call it a street. It's an alley. It's a single lane gravel road. The residents on the street pay to maintain. Everything on the street is close to an acre or over. I personally have 2.5 acres on there, and so what he was just speaking of, when I built my house on that street, I envisioned unique houses on that street, people tearing down the houses on the street or adding on and renovating and making the street a unique street, something that would be proud of to be in St. Charles. When I found out a sober living house moved onto our street, one of the neighbors that on 18 had just moved in decided he's no longer going to build his new house on the street. He's now going to make it a rental property. That does not help my property whatsoever. This was supposed to be my retirement home. I'm at a point now where I'm thinking of selling because I don't want to be around this, and I'm going to be losing value on my property the longer this house on the street just deteriorates. A year ago, before they moved in, the house had a beautiful green front yard. Now it's a mud pit because they park 10 to 12 cars in the front yard daily. They have 10 to 12 residents living there, even though the permit that they have now is only supposed to give them 8. So I'm confused as to how this is going on and how they're allowed to even be there at this point. But that's a whole nother discussion. I encourage every one of you to drive down Placid Drive before April 12th when there will be the next hearing on this in April 26th to see the road, see that it cannot handle the amount of traffic, the amount of people that house is bringing into this community. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Tracy Ray.
Hello, I'm Tracy Ray. I live next door to Mark, who just spoke, and I'm also expressing opposition for CUP 2103. One thing that really stands out to me is the lack of concern by the individuals running this organization for the community and their own residents, because they didn't research what kind of permits, what the zoning is, are they allowed to go move in there? You don't just kind of haphazardly set up 10 people in a house on a small street. So given that they didn't check into what permits they might need. Is everything up to code inside? Are they ADA compliant? And And it's also been very unsafe in terms of emergency access. As such a small road with people parking in the street, and sometimes they would have two wheels, you know, a foot into the road. An emergency vehicle cannot fit. There's not room. So that's a concern. And in fact, they've had emergency vehicles visit twice in the last year. Fortunately, they've been able to get in. I know I personally saw when they just came last week. They were able to come in. No one was parked in the street, or at least not far into the road, but nobody else at the end of the road could have gotten past during that time. So that poses concerns for what if there was an additional emergency. And when they set up this facility, none of the neighbors knew. They didn't come and introduce themselves. They weren't very proactive about integrating into the community. How can we help, you know, manage the road, or just make people aware of what's going on, because that's not a very abnormal situation to have going on. And the fact that they were just quiet about it and kind of snuck in, didn't get permits, it starts with a lack of trust, a really bad relationship to start with. And a lot of serious modifications would be needed to safely accommodate all the traffic that they have, all the cars that are parked there. And there's a reason, you know, this area is zoned as residential, single-family residential, and they would have to make so many changes to make it suitable for their needs, while there's plenty of land out there that could accommodate them more easily, more safely, without making serious changes, affecting the neighbors. So we strongly suggest that you deny the permit. However, we also understand that they are people in recovery. They need to find somewhere to go, but we could leave a grace period for them to have time to relocate, and also that they not accept new residents in the meantime. Any questions?
I think that item is going to be on the April 12th agenda.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah, we just wanted to come in and make a
Yes,
few points
okay.
ahead.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Alex Ray?
Good evening. My name's Alex Ray. I live at 19 Placid Drive with my wife Tracy, who just spoke. As a numbers guy, I just wanted to kind of help Mark paint a picture of what the situation on Placid Drive looks like. So on Placid, there are 9 houses. If you're not counting 17 Placid, the 10 or 12 residents that are living there, there are 17 people living on the street, and there are 14 cars. And when you add in this house here on a 1-lane gravel street, there's no street lights or anything, their application is requesting up to 12 residents in addition to the 17 that already live there, which is a 40% or so increase in residents. And there's the issue that Tracy mentioned, that they have cars parked in the front yard, parked halfway into the street. We've seen anywhere between 8 and 11 cars parked out there. You know, that's another 40% increase in traffic. And like Mark said, this road is maintained by the property owners living there. It's not maintained by the county. And so as a permanent property owner, that burden more so falls on me to have to pay out of pocket to maintain the road that all these extra cars are causing damage to. And so the point that I kind of want to make is that it's what we're mainly opposed to is that this street is just not built for an operation like this. And it's not like, you know, there aren't other places in the county or even in the nearby area that they could go, but it's really unfair to the property owners living on the street, especially when you consider that the people running the group home, like my wife said, they never reached out to us. There was no, we were never made aware before we bought the house or even after. And I think that would have gone a long way, but like she said, first impressions are everything, and there's just a level of distrust between the permanent residents of Placid and the owners of the group home. So that's all I had. Did you have any questions? Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, sir. We have any other speakers?
Dale Shaper.
Good evening.
First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come before you this evening. My name is Dale Shaper. I'm here not as a representative of the Wentzville School District or the Wentzville School Board as a whole. However, I am a member of the Wentzville School Board, the director. My question is park fees. Currently, we're being charged as the Wentzville School District for our students $37,000 for 40 days at the parks within St. Charles County, being Bromosic and Quail Ridge. That's 40 days total between the two. There is roughly 10 days, I think, in there for inclement weather in case we have to cancel. So our actual usage probably is somewhere around 30 days. That's roughly a cost of about $25 per student. Nobody else rents the parks and spends that much money in 1 year's time. There's no doubt about that. I doubt if anybody rents the park, any one entity spends 10% of that amount. The park's money comes from a tax. I'm not sure just quite how it is, but it's on purchases, either sales from within our community or purchases from people within our community. 99.9% of our students come from St. Charles County and the Wentzville School District. The only ones that wouldn't would be those students who are displaced for homeless purposes. This is for our young people, fifth graders within our school district. We appreciate the opportunity to have our parks. However, I do feel this amount is excessive again. Once again, as I said, 10% of your revenue comes probably from service fees. The rest of it comes from taxes. With that all being said, as we saw the numbers of visitors up there on the park, people can enter our parks. We do not ask if they are St. Charles County residents. They can come from wherever they want, and we open our parks to these people. And this is quite all right. It creates traffic within our communities. We collect sales tax from it on a county. And if they live within our community, they're service in our district. The St. Charles County Parks Department is probably, I could be wrong on this, it could be the Missouri Department of Conservation, could be our largest landowner within St. Charles County. If it's not the Missouri Department of Conservation, it is the St. Charles County Parks Department. If you take all the county properties, including parks, it's got to be up there 2 and maybe 1. What I'm saying is you do have support from the people within the county. I ask that you show that support back to these young people. They are the people.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but your time is almost up. So specifically, what is it that you're asking?
Well, I'm looking for anything that the county can do to help our school district when we have a public entity charging revenues to another public entity. Now, I know there's people that says within our county, we as a school district co-op
Thank you, sir.
with other communities and make our outdoors
Mr.
open.
Cronin, if you
Okay.
don't mind, your time is up, but Mr. Cronin would like to make a statement.
You're in my district, I represent most of Wentzville north of the highway. If you contact me, I'd like to talk about this.
Okay.
We waive some fees, for instance, we waive liquor license fees to the city of St. Charles and other venues like that. Maybe we can do something to help your school district, your kids, okay?
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman. Mr. Shaper, is this during the day, during the weekends, or when is this?
This is weekdays.
I am actually shocked.
while
that
the
we were
school-
I had no idea we were charging.
I didn't
That
either.
doesn't seem right to me.
Sure, the council set the fees, Councilman.
The what?
The council set the fees.
Well,
They
then we're gonna
came
have to talk
before
about-
you all and you voted.
Well, we're gonna talk about that, because
Okay.
we were thinking parties and renting the pavilions and things. We're not talking about residents, kids.
What kinds of activities do you do with the children out there?
There's it's part of our educational program for the outdoor. There is, the Parks Department does, I believe, also hold some classes for them also.
Okay.
I mean, and I appreciate
Sounds
that.
like a wonderful
But
program that you
I
have.
think, I think this is an opportunity. As these young people grow up, they can look back and someday and understand it's going to take the future of them to keep our parks alive within the county.
Okay.
I had no idea we were
I
doing that.
think we
to
should
be
all
honest
look
with you.
into
Yeah, we're
that.
gonna look at that.
Yeah.
That's a whole.
Thanks for bringing
Yeah.
that to our
Thank you very
attention. All right, thank you.
Were there any other speakers?
Madam Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, John.
On the park fee, the gentleman that spoke did talk to Ryan Graham, and Ryan Graham provided that information to me. The department is, they rent 2 of our parks for about 40 days, 30 to 40 days. The fee is really covering our staff time that is needed to support the events. So there's different programmings where we have park rangers and interpretive staff there that are dedicated to this event that's helping the event go along. It's also covering some of the rental of the pavilions and other things, but it's primarily the staff time.
These are during the school day, when I would assume that there may not be a lot of competition for renting pavilions, but that's just my guess.
And the key part of that is the staff time that's used that we're providing to help support the event at the park.
Well, I think that it's something, since the most of these parks are in my district too, and so is Winsfield Schools, it's something we need to look at, because I had no idea we were doing that, honestly.
Yeah.
We'll get
I
the
mean,
numbers for you.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you for that. And so,
Arnie Dienoff.
Mr. Dienoff. Last but not least, good to see you.
Never least. Good to see you too. I almost called you judge, and I almost lifted my hand to be sworn in, but it's not planning and zoning, or we're not
I've
in
been
court.
called a
right?
lot of things.
There we go. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, members of the County Council. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff, County Public Advocate. Council members, let's purchase our goods, supplies, services, and contracts right here in St. Charles County. I ask that the council look at tonight's consent agenda this evening and past meetings. We're supporting other counties, other states, not our own families right here in St. Charles County. Instead of investing $100,000 in PGAV planner and consultants to write a report for the County Port Authority with little to no investment or return on investment, let's divert that money to the students of our county in parks, the environmental programs, and outdoor nature programs, services, and benefits. And better yet, let's invest in our children and the students of all of our schools in the spirit of cooperation, of intergovernmental relations. We have an obligation to give back to our community and to our residents. It's not about making a profit and generating new income streams for the Parks Department. I'm reaching out to you and asking each and every one of you to hear me out. The understanding of this issue would benefit all of our 433,000 county residents. We need to invest in great ways, the future generations of our great county. We need to be good stewards of our parks and our environment. We need to heavily invest, not in terms of dollars, but in terms of teaching, resources, energy, time, and natural resources into the youth of St. Charles County. We owe this to our citizens. These are our residents and not outsiders. Our proposed huge contract for $35,000 that has been tabled by members of the Wentzville R4 School Board is a contract for Quail Ridge and Brummelsick Park to hold 5th grade outdoor experience camp for the district students. 15 days for both camps and both parks. Total is 15 days. You may be unlikely renting these pavilions during the week. Look at it this way. The Wentzville students are residents, citizens, and need to have access to our parks. We are taxing the same citizen that we should be reinvesting in with green programs and environmental resources for the future. I'm asking that a better compromise take place, the sharpening of the pencil, and that reinvestment of our time, energy, and efforts go into the youth needed in our time right now in society of our county for the benefit of future generations. Can we compromise and make a much better situation here? Can we waive the pavilion and lodge center fees? Can we decrease all the fees and rentals to a bare basic minimum? Can we waive the deposit fees? Can we waive the insurance carrier and riders? We are taxing our own children, students and families of the Wentzville School District. Please consider my testimony. It's very important.
Thank you,
These
Mr.
are our
Dienoff.
citizens.
Nice pivot, by the way.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks.
Okay, does that conclude
Yes. no more
comments,
speakers.
public comments? Okay. We usually have an oral report from the county executive since you've given us the 2020 annual report. Do you have anything additional that you'd like to add at this time, Mr. Ellman?
The only thing I would say, just want everybody to know that last week we vaccinated 12,000 individuals. Our health department did, and we're going to try to do the same thing again this week. And again, I just have to thank all the volunteers. 'Cause I don't know
I
how
have
we do it
a
without
relative who went there and said it was done very well, very efficiently. I think, did the weather affect us at all this past weekend?
them. No, and that,
Okay.
of course, the weekend before,
We
we
could
did
just
have a
have good
problem with the
weather.
weather.
It would
Yeah.
be helpful. Okay.
I think we got everything worked out, and everything went well on Saturday when we did it outside, and went very well on Friday when we did it inside.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, so next item is the consent agenda. We have a lot of items on there. First of all, are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
I'd like to remove election authority, please.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll remove that. Any other requests to remove anything from the consent agenda? Then with the exception of the election authority, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion approved.
Second.
Do we call the roll on this, or all in favor, say aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the consent agenda is approved. Now, can we take up the election services? We have missed.
I'd just like to ask Mr. Barr to kind of give us a rundown of what this purchase includes and where the funding's coming from.
Okay. Mr. Barr, good evening.
Council, this is our renewal of our contract with Atkins and Sons Printing out of Clinton, Missouri. As you know, well, we've used Atkins and Sons, as far as I know, as back as the early 80s as our print vendor who prints our paper ballots and helps program the machines that reads the paper ballots. And this year we're up, and so I need this approved so that we can go ahead and pay them for the municipal election that we're currently in. The funding for the Atkins and Sons is charged to each election. It's put into Fund 235, and then we pay out of that fund for all of my maintenance contracts for the different vendors that we have.
Are we, so Kurt, this is for print and paper ballots, is that
Yes, sir.
correct? That's good.
Programming machines that read the paper ballots and for printing the paper ballots, yes. It's our normal Atkins and Sons contract.
Okay, and so do we have a 2-year is this a fee that we would renew every several years, every 2 years?
It's the standard one-year contract with two renewals.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Is it fair to say you're stuck with Henry Atkins until you buy different machines?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that a bad thing or is that an okay thing?
Like I said, our county's had a relationship with Henry Atkins and Sons since the early 80s. They're a good vendor. They're a Missouri-based vendor. I've, in my 3 years here, 2.5 years here, had a good relationship with them. Their customer service is excellent. Like I said in the previous hearing, there's really only a handful of election vendors. And so to have one that is local is a really good thing.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Is there then a motion to?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Barr. That concludes the consent agenda. Moving along then to bills for final passage. First bill is number 4933. Would you read the bill, please?
Bill number 4933, an ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from R1B Single Family Residential District to R3B Multifamily Residential District 12.2 acres and R1E Single Family Residential District 28.6 acres as per application RZ 20-13.
Any comments or concerns?
I was just hoping John could help us. This is your district, right, John?
Yes, and
Kind of give us,
and Terry's attended all the planning and zoning meetings, and they've been through this, I think, 3 times. So.
Yes. First of all, this is the second time through. The first time that this proposal came before us at the planning and zoning, we rejected it. Then they came back with a revised plan in which they shifted the number of lots.
Less dense than the
Less
first one?
dense than the original one. You know, my big point on this is that if there was no rezoning change whatsoever, and they stayed R1B, okay, the number of homes that would be built would be 7 homes less, just 7 homes, than what they're proposing now. So, you know, the idea that this is, you know, being done to jam a large number of homes into a 40-acre area, I don't think holds water. Again, you know, the difference is 7 homes more with this new zoning rather than what it was zoned for in the master plan. And that was my biggest take at the planning and zoning.
Any other? Yes, Mr. Cronin.
I read this pretty thoroughly, and I did read the letters a lot of folks sent in on it. And it's this, essentially what I'm reading, what I'm seeing is, on 3 sides of this proposed development, the requested zoning is the same as those developments. It's R3E, okay? The only thing you're asking for is a little strip across the 12 acres across the top, which actually borders multifamily, and you're asking for, you know, R3B there, or, I'm sorry, R3B there, so you can forget the lot lists. So it's really not a change in consistency to the area in general. 3 sides, you're asking for R1E, which is the same as the adjacent subdivisions. The north side that borders the apartments, you're asking for R3B, so that you can put not multifamily in, but lots with a little bit narrower lot sizes. So I'm perfectly supportive of this. I don't like it when farms are turned into subdivisions. I haven't liked that for 50 years that I've lived in this county, okay, or 65 years I've lived in this county. But that's the reality of St. Charles County. And also the reality is, as far as roads is, if there's a problem that develops with the roads from this new subdivision, then the county gets a way of a transportation tax fund, and then the county will look at fixing the road. So I support what you're doing. Good luck.
Any other comments?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
There was somebody that was concerned about the water runoff, and I'd like to have the developer or the attorney address that so they understand what's going to happen with the water.
Yeah, Mr. Weber.
Yes, I apologize for not addressing that earlier. So currently, on the western side of the property, there's a creek. And actually, at the northwest portion, there's a little bit that's actually floodplain. But the property just kind of generally drains over land over to the creek. So this subdivision is not developing in the creek buffer area, but there's going to be a new detention basin. And that detention basin is going to comply with the county's new water quality and detention standards. So the storm water is going to drain into that detention basin. And then like all detention basins, it has a metered outflow so that there's no flooding events, basically. So no water is being pushed to nearby properties. It's all being funneled to the detention basins on site.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
no problem.
Anything further? Okay, then I'm going to ask Donna, would you please read the title and call the roll?
4933, an ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from R1B, Single Family Residential District, to R3B, Multifamily Residential District, 12.2 acres, and R1E, Single Family Residential District, 28.6 acres, as per application RZ 20-13. Councilmember Schneider?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam? Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Bill number 4933 passes. Bill number 4934.
Bill number 4934, an ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A Agricultural District to RR Single Family Residential District as per application RZ 20-15.
Any questions or comments regarding this bill? Mr. Cronin?
In my district, there's no controversy. It's a very nice subdivision that's going to fit well into the area. So I think we should pass it.
Thank you. If there are no other comments, please read the title and call the roll.
An ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A Agricultural District to RR Single Family Residential District as per application RZ 20-15. Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Bill number 4934 passes. Bill number 4935.
Bill number 4935, an ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A Agricultural District to C2 General Commercial District as per application RZ 20-16.
Any questions or comments on this bill? Hearing none, please read the title and call the roll.
An ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A Agricultural District to C2 General Commercial District as per application RZ 20-16. Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam? Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider?
Yes.
I actually meant to vote no on that, but it doesn't matter, so.
Did we not call your name or what happened?
That's what I'm-
In any event, the bill has passed.
Sorry.
Bill number 4936.
Bill number 4936, an ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A Agricultural District with floodway and floodway fringe overlay districts to RF Riverfront District with floodway and floodway fringe overlay districts as per application RZ 20-17.
That's in my district, I think, and I've previously spoken that I'm in favor of it, and it pretty much conforms with the other similar businesses in the area. Are there any other questions or comments? Please read the title and call the roll.
An ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A Agricultural District with floodway and floodway fringe overlay districts to RF Riverfront District with floodway and floodway fringe overlay districts as per application RZ 20-17. Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam? Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Bill number 4936 passes. Bill number 4937.
Bill number 4937, an ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A Agricultural District to R1B Single Family Residential District as per application RZ 21-01.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, please read the title and call the roll.
An ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A Agricultural District to R1B Single Family Residential District as per application RZ 21-01. Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam? Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Bill number 4937 passes. Bill number 4938.
Bill number 4938, an ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A Agricultural District to RR Single Family Residential District as per application RZ 21-02.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, please read the title and call the roll.
An ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A Agricultural District to RR Single Family Residential District as per application RZ 21-02. Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam? Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Bill number 4938 passes. Bill number 4939.
Bill number 4939, an ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from R1A Single Family Residential District with PUD Overlay District to A Agricultural District as per application RZ 21-03.
Questions or comments? Please read the title and call the roll.
An ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from R1A Single Family Residential District with PUD Overlay District to A Agricultural District as per application RZ 21-03. Councilmember Schneider?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam? Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Bill number 4939 passes. Bill number 4940.
Bill number 4940, an ordinance, one, authorizing the amendment of the St. Louis Home Consortium Consolidated Plan 2016 through 2020, and amending the 2019 Annual Action Plan for St. Charles County, Missouri in its capacity as an urban county under the Community Development Block Grant Program of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. Two, authorizing the county executive to execute all related documents, certifications, and contracts. And three, amending the 2021 budget adopted by ordinance 20-094 to accept and spend CDBG CV funds in the amount of $1,060,488.
Any questions or comments? Please read the title, call the roll.
An ordinance, one, authorizing the amendment of the St. Louis Home Consortium Consolidated Plan 2016 through 2020 and amending the 2019 Annual Action Plan for St. Charles County, Missouri in its capacity as an urban county under the Community Development Block Grant Program of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. Authorizing the county executive to execute all related documents, certifications, and contracts. And three, amending the 2021 budget adopted by ordinance 20-094 to accept and spend CDBG CV funds in the amount of $1,060,488. Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Bill number 4940 passes. Bill number 4941.
Bill number 4941, an ordinance authorizing the non-binding projected tax rates of the county for the General Revenue Fund and for various special funds of and for the County of St. Charles, Missouri for the year 2021 in order to develop the notice of projected tax liability to accompany the assessor's notice of assessed value, all as mandated by Senate Bill 711 in 2008.
Is there a motion on that bill?
I'd like to make a motion to amend Bill number 4941 and replace it with the proposed substitute Bill 4941.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Then I understand, is Mr. Schnurr going to talk to us about that? Yeah, if you don't mind.
The reason for the amended ordinance is primarily because when we were getting ready to introduce these tax rates to you, I had not yet received the final assessed value numbers. The assessor turns in his assessed value numbers as of March 1st, and I had not yet gotten them in final form. I had used some numbers off of the assessor's report that they had delivered to me, but there's some other pluses and minuses that are in there. So this is just tweaking the numbers a bit to get them to conform to the actual beginning certified assessed value numbers before the Board of Equalization process takes place now, to where the assessor will give us final assessed value numbers after the Board of Equalization by August 1st that you'll set the final tax rates on for 2021 at that point in time. These are only the preliminary, non-binding tax rates that were required to put out by Senate Bill 711 to taxpayers so they can see, and they will receive later at this spring, they'll see that statement from the collector of revenue and the assessor that tells them what their new assessed values are, since 2021 is a new assessment year. And there'll be a projection here based on these preliminary rates that are assembled countywide to give taxpayers an idea as to what their property tax bill will look like at the end of the year.
So these,
just tweaking the numbers just a bit.
I'm sorry, these tweak the road and bridge and the dispatch and alarm rates, and they're just a little bit lower than what you had initially.
Correct. Our assessed value was actually a bit higher than what I had originally used in the first calculation, which lowered our tax rates just a bit more.
But it's still all to be determined at the end.
Correct. These
Yeah.
are just preliminary non-binding rates, and when we get together in September, we will be finalizing tax rates for 2021.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Schnurr, any comments?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, would you please read the title and call the roll?
Substitute Bill Number 4941, an ordinance authorizing the non-binding projected tax rates of the county for the General Revenue Fund and for various special funds of and for the County of St. Charles, Missouri for the year 2021 in order to develop the notice of projected tax liability to accompany the assessor's notice of assessed value, all as mandated by Senate Bill 711 in 2008. Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam? Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider?
Yes. That bill passes, then substitute Bill 4941. That concludes bills for final passage. We have a couple of bills for introduction.
Bill number 4942, requested by Michael Hurlbert, sponsored by Mike Elam, an ordinance amending the 2021 budget adopted by Ordinance 20-094 as amended for a position within the St. Charles County Department of Community Development.
Any questions or comments about that bill? This is a new position, is that right? Mr. Hurlbut, no, it's not a new position? Okay.
It's changing out one. They're removing the position of administrative assistant, and they're establishing a position of clerical supervisor.
Okay, all right. Any other comments or questions? Okay, all right, thank you. Bill number, that will be voted on the April 12th meeting. The next bill for introduction is 4943.
Bill number 4943, requested by Steve Ellman, sponsored by Joe Brazel, Mike Elam, and Terry Hollander, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental cooperation agreement for the operation of a port authority between St. Charles County, Missouri, and the St. Charles County Port Authority.
Any discussion of that?
I understand it right. We're lending the Port Authority $100,000, which most of it's going to PJAV for a study. And supposedly, if we get some grant money back, that $100,000 will be paid back to the county. Is that the gist of it? Yep.
Yes,
That's
Yeah.
all I need. That's all I need to know.
Okay.
I think, Steve, they had any meeting, if they haven't done anything yet, I guess, no point in getting together.
They've had at least 3 meetings. 4? 3? Anything you want to report on what's been going on?
Yes, the Port Authorities had 3 meetings. They had their first one in January. They are meeting monthly on the third Thursday of the month, first Thursday of the month at 8 a.m. Next meeting will be down in the administration building. Any of you are welcome to attend. I know Councilman Elam will be attending that meeting and wants to make a few brief remarks to them. They have generally done the initial kickoff stuff, so they've adopted bylaws, started to discuss their insurance for officers, errors, and omissions, generally understood the structure of how county staff will interact with them to support them. So beyond just the contract with PGAV, they'll be getting county staff help as well. So we'll be counting and accounting for hours, primarily out of the Community Development Department staff time that is assisting the Port Authority. We'll be keeping track of those hours, and that will be reimbursable when they have funds available as well. But they've had a presentation from all of the municipal economic development directors, so trying to get an understanding of what are the primary economic development focus areas of each of our jurisdictions, what areas are most in need of development to help advance some significant investment forward. And they have also had a presentation at the last meeting from John going over the Transportation Improvement Plan, how the funding process works at the federal, state, and local level for transportation projects. So they're just trying to get the lay of the land of how will the Port Authority fit in with these other entities, and they'll be kicking off with PGAV at their next meeting, the strategic planning process, which is going to kind of help them define who they are, what their role is, and how they're going to help incent key projects throughout the county.
Can we get copies on the agenda and meeting time? If there is an agenda, is there an agenda yet?
There is an agenda. Yeah, we can get that email set up in Civic Plus that you get the agendas whenever they get posted.
What's the date of the next meeting?
The 8th? April 8th.
Okay, all right, thanks very much. Okay. No further bills for introduction at this time. Any action on the tabled bills? Any announcements?
Mr. Chairman, I want to commend you on a wonderful job for your first time here in the county council.
I only messed up 3 or 4 times.
No, you did a good job, very good. Better than I did my first
Well,
time.
I can just tell you, I know, for 10 years I practiced law, and then I suddenly became a judge, and when I sat up there, I was like, I wish I paid more attention when I was on the other side. So thanks for helping me out. Donna was giving me a lot of sign language and signals, so thanks very much. Okay, the meeting, motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Okay, we're adjourned. All right, thank you very much.